So these are the motor controllers which I ordered. If you may recall in a previous video, I talked about how I'd use these H-bridge motor controllers in my robot. And this is the package which they came in off of eBay. So I ordered a lot of these motor controllers. I believe it was 5, right? Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I have the 5th one here wired up already. So you can see they come in these anti-static bags. All of them are the same, so let's get to the one that's actually wired up. You could see here it is right here. It's a pretty small circuit board. It's actually, you could see right here, it is roughly 4 centimeters on either side. So if you are creating an enclosure for this, for example, if you're 3D printing an enclosure, you would have 40 by 40 millimeters and obviously a space for the heatsink. Speaking of the heatsink, you could see it's made out of aluminum, and some of the, I guess, paint or anodizing or whatever it is, it came off during shipping and one of the fins is bent. But that doesn't really matter, it still works, as I will demonstrate shortly. You can see the basic layout of how this works. It doesn't really show that good on camera, but you have these pins right here. Basically how this works is it's essentially 4 different switches. So basically you connect your motor in either one of these 2 ports, and this one makes this motor go forwards, this one makes it go backwards, this one makes this motor controller port go forwards, and this pin makes this one go backwards, or whichever way you have hooked it up. These DC brushless motors are not polarized. This motor controller can drive 2 amps on each different circuit. So there are 2 different H bridges. There's one for this side and one for this side. They're only on the same board because of this circuit right here. So you can drive 2 motors off of this. Each can consume a maximum of 2 amps. This will probably get really hot. If you do that, then get a fan or use a better motor controller. One thing that you may think you could do is you might be able to wire both of these to one motor and get 4 amps, though that might not be very possible considering they would have to switch on and off at the exact same time, or you would blow this side or whichever side switch first and then it would change to the other side and then blow that side as well. You could also put pulse width modulation in either of these enable pins. So you could pulse width modulate on either of these 2 pins for either of these 2 motors. And that will allow you to have speed control as well, in addition to simply being able to turn a motor on or off in either direction. So these other ports right here, they are wired up. These 2 go to the first motor, these 2 go to the second motor. These 2 wires right here are power, and this wire right here is a common ground plus 5 volts. And what's interesting about this is this does output 5 volts if you are putting 12 volts through this line. So if you are powering your robot or whatever you're making that needs a motor off of 12 volts, you don't need to step it down for your microcontroller or whatever, Arduino or whatever you're using. You could power it using these 2 pins. Though the 5 volts is optional, all you really need is a common ground, and then that will make a circuit between the common ground and the pins you're using. So I have everything wired up. Now let's test it running a motor. I have looked up how these are used. Most of the time they are used in pretty small motors, normally ranging around 600 milliamps.